The Recreation Commission meeting of July 11th, 2022. Would you all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first order of business this evening is the approval of our minutes of June 15, 2022. I'll turn that over to Brendan.
All right, thank you. Bill Gaffney is not able to make it this evening, but he did have a correction on under subcommittee reports. Commissioner Gaffney noted town meeting approved 4 new buildings and some parking garages at the Norbloom property. In the presentation, the site has many indoor and outdoor amenities. Pickleball is growing and the younger generation is picking up the sport. Commissioner Gaffney suggested Norbloom adding, it said a pickleball court, but it was 8 pickleball courts. So I want to make that correction.
Okay, in terms of the minutes of June 15th as amended this evening, is there a motion to approve?
Just one, Brendan, did you want to?
Did I miss one?
He also talked about having the acoustic block up prior to the meeting. Was that, or was that just a comment?
That was just a comment,
That was
I
a
believe.
comment.
Yep.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, Chair, through a motion to approve the minutes of June 15th as amended. Commissioner Norton has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second by
Seconded by
Commissioner
Commissioner Sullivan. All right, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll put that amended motion to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And that's 4-0-0. Okay, the next item on our agenda this evening is public participation. Is there anyone here this evening for public participation? Come on up. Both come on up,
Sure.
sure. Just identify yourselves for the record.
Sure.
And there's a green light on the microphone.
It's
Is-
on.
It is, so
Oh, good.
it's on, okay.
Excellent.
Can I just say one thing
Yes.
before we start? I am so impressed that you did the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I don't think I've done that since high school. It felt good.
Oh, good.
So thank you.
So just let us know your name and address for the record, please.
Sure, for the record, Diane Leva, 17 Church Lane.
Thank you.
And John O'Brien, 13 Church Lane.
All right, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. All right. I hate public speaking, so I'm gonna read from what I wrote. Okay. So I'd like to just start by saying thank you for everyone listening to our concerns. And I love Simons Park and appreciate all that Brendan, the Parks and Recreation staff and this committee do for the town of Burlington. Really, I love Simons Park. However, locating the pickleball court so close to neighbors, creating such a noise nuisance greater than any other activity has over the past 34 years of my living here was a mistake. And Dawn has been here, what, how many years? Like,
Forever, it seems, right?
longer than me. Okay, so I'd like to play a couple of recordings for you, and I can tell you where these were taken from. But before I do, I would please like you to put yourself in our shoes and imagine hearing the noise nuisance from early morning to night. Imagine hearing this noise over and over when you're in bed, waking up in the morning. When you're in bed, going to sleep at night. When you're relaxing or eating on your patio, doing yard work, leaving your home, arriving home after a long day at work, working in your home office, sitting in your living room, cooking in your kitchen with the windows open on a beautiful day. And then please tell us that you would be okay with the court being located this close to your home. So I have 2 that I'd like to play for you. The first one is from the 2nd floor of my house with the window open, but it's the 2nd floor of my house. Is the mic picking it up?
Put the mic right into the, yeah.
second one, I won't play the whole thing, it'll be shorter.
One question
Yeah.
before you go to the
Oh.
second one. When was that one recorded?
That one was back in April,
Of this year?
yes,
Okay.
in my home. I honestly don't, but you could hear that there was quite a few players, for sure, because there was different balls going. This one here is just from my front porch yesterday morning at like 11:15 in the morning. There was probably eight people over there at the time that I took it. I went for a walk yesterday morning about 8:15. There was more over there earlier. They came and went all day yesterday, and this was about 11:15. I think there was about 8 people from my front porch outside, just right outside my door. And I won't play the whole thing, it's just to give you another little bit of an idea. I'm gonna go a little bit forward on this one. Oh, sorry, I gotta go back. So, so after hearing those two, we please request this committee moves the courts for the following reasons. And then, once I read the reasons that I put together, I have a little bit of feedback from 2 other neighbors that weren't able to make it tonight, and one of them is really another good perspective. Pickleball is much noisier than tennis with an awful high-pitched sound. Human ears are more sensitive to high-pitched sounds, and for this reason, pickleball is more annoying to listen to, and it's causing headaches for me, which I normally do not get. The noise is amplified with the number of players, the skill level, and the competitiveness of the players, 16 players, 4 balls, all being hit out of sync. The town did not conduct a proper sound analysis study before placing the courts this close to homes. All articles I find suggest the courts are not located close to residents, as there will be many complaints and lawsuits. Players can be a rowdy bunch, loud, aggressive, swearing, and playing music. Yesterday, they were playing music. It was soft, but they still had it on. We are woken up by pickleball on weekends and during the week, too. This past weekend, I let a couple of you know, there was a couple over there playing at 5:45 on Saturday morning. So my husband politely went over and told them it was too early to be playing. We can't open the windows without hearing the noise. There's no peace and quiet indoors. We can't relax on the deck, take a nap, read a book, enjoy yard work without hearing the noise. No peace and quiet outdoors either. The town is unable to plant trees outside the fence due to the stone and ledge, so that was a failed attempt to quiet the noise. I believe the car road noise is worse since the acoustic block panel installation has been put in. I also feel the acoustic block sound barrier isn't working. The panels are very unattractive to look at from the neighbor's point of view. I feel boxed in instead of seeing the open space in the trees. The players park in front of our homes. One player parked in my driveway to go retrieve forgotten items at the court. He says to me, "I didn't know what else to do." I'm thinking, why park here? If the popularity continues to increase as this board thinks it will, then the problem will only get worse for the neighbors. To make matters worse, the court attracts players from other towns, so we get no breaks from the noise. One player from Concord said, "We will go where the best courts are, and it's apparent there is a player community that spreads the word on when and where to play." I spoke to Acoustic Block directly and asked if extending the panels and adding more panels will prevent noise from being heard on the second floor of homes. His opinion is sound will still travel up, but not as intense. He said the sound will escape anywhere there's a gap. The Acoustic Block owners also said most players would agree they don't want courts in close proximity to their homes. The noise from the hockey rink court trial that proved to be better from the neighbor's point of view. The trial was a waste of everyone's time and effort, giving the neighbors a false sense of hope that the court would be at a minimum moved to the upper court if the trial feedback was positive. The failed attempts to mitigate the noise have been going on too long. To me, it feels like forever. So tonight, please hear us. These pickleball courts should not be close to homes and greatly impacts the neighbors' quality of life and our right to some tranquility. So then I'd like to just read a couple of other feedback that I have, and then I'll let Donna speak if I haven't covered it, but I took some of your words and added them here. Okay, so Melissa, Judy, and John Mallon live in the house in between the two of us, and Melissa wasn't able to make it because of work tonight, so I thought this was another interesting perspective. The noise from the court is constant and deafening. I work from home. I work from home, and it's constantly heard from within my house with doors closed and windows closed. Even the people on Zoom hear it. People do not always respect the times either, and they continue to park on our street. The biggest issue is the noise. In all we hear, I am pleading with the town to relocate the courts. I'm not sure anyone even can begin to understand the sound that we hear all day long. I'd love to be there tonight, but work prevents it, thanks. And that's from the homeowners in between us. And then just another one, around the corner, a few houses down on Edgemont, as far as the pickleball courts go, the noise, it's just too much activity for them too late. And then they also comment about the speed on the street. I'm not sure, that's another issue, but the speed on the street a few years back was changed from 25 to 30, which really is a safety concern. You know, there's stairs right there, and there's the ball field up the street. 30 is too fast. We know you say 30, everyone goes 35. So this person just says cars fly up Church Lane. So that's it for me.
Okay, next.
Thank you.
Thank you, again, thank you for having us, by the way, and thank Kevin and Brendan for meeting with us, listening to us,
Right.
getting our emails, responding to us. That was very effective. Diane's right, all of this is so true. It is disconcerting that we thought we had a solution. We met with Kevin and Brendan. We trialed that, it worked better. It actually made a little bit more noise for me, but in the whole scheme of things, worked better. And yet, it still didn't happen. We thought once there was a good outcome, it would be moved. I have to tell you, 16 people, no matter what their age is, and I think, Brendan, you even spoke about going and having to tell them to be quiet, right? The music's on, they're swearing, so in those courts, there's 4 courts. So at the most, you can have 16 people, 4 in each court. And they have 4 balls that are made out of plastic that are hitting against, I think, wooden-type paddles. So different from the 4 people who are playing tennis, no matter what age group, with softballs and whatever the webbing is made of. It's more like acrylic or something, so it's softer. When those teenagers up there on the skateboard park don't make an inch of the noise that these people make.
Great.
And we're talking about teenagers who, they're
Agree.
swearing, the swearing that comes from the pickleball court, that it's just so frustrating and disrespectful. I love being near the park, of course.
Me
We
too,
always
I
have.
love it.
That was where I grew up. I love the park when they have baseball games and the girls are screaming and laughing and yelling and the music's playing, and it's all happy. The pickleball is like a negative, it's not the pickleball itself. There's something about it that has this competitive edge that makes people go crazy a little bit. And it's honestly embarrassing. Embarrassing for the town that it's so close to us. The sides were gonna go down, the green kind of ugly thing was gonna go down both sides. It hasn't been done yet. I guess I'm kind of at a loss. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe it's a good plan and we just don't know it. But people are relying on us to relay this information to that couldn't be here. People down the street on Elm Ave in Edgemont, as far down as where, I don't know if anyone knows those descents down in there. down on Edgemont, they can still hear the balls there too, and that's quite a distance. And the traffic is a problem, of course. When you come right up that hill, they're flying up, has nothing to do with the pickleball.
No.
But people are parking there, and we've had to call the police a few times, and the fire trucks can't get down the street when they're parking on the side streets, because they park up close. So I'm hoping that you listen to hear our plea and maybe put it up in that top and switch it with the hockey rink, some.
As a temporary, to me, that's a temporary minimum solution.
sure.
Eventually, it's gotta get out of there. It has to. I can't stand it anymore. I have such headaches when I'm outside now for any length of time. It's like triggering them. I don't know what we're gonna do next.
It's torturous for sure. And I know there was a nice man that is on the rec department. Forgive me, I don't know his name, but he understood a bit because he lives near the rifle range, the shooting.
Oh, it's probably Bill.
was-
Bill,
That's
yeah.
me, I live near it
And
too.
You do too? And so you understand that noise from a distance is annoying, but we're not even at a distance. We're like,
40 feet or
Right
so
there.
from it.
Yeah.
My mailbox is probably less than 40 feet or 40 feet tops.
Yeah.
It's again, the man that I spoke to at the Acoustic Block, he completely agreed with me. It's too close, and he said he's never worked with another park that was this close to neighbors, because I asked him.
yeah,
So,
I don't know. Do you have an answer?
it's just
Well,
too close.
First of all, I want to thank you for coming here tonight. I know it's been a while setting up this
Yeah.
meeting and listening to your concerns and your comments. I know the commissioners joined me in sharing concerns about the location. Before I open it up to comments and questions from the board, I just wanted to give Brendan an opportunity to give us some of his thoughts and where he's at right now in terms of the pickleball court being located where it is. Brendan?
Yep, thank you. So, I'm just gonna touch on it. The traffic, obviously, you know, we don't have control over that. In the parking, not to pawn it off, but it is a police issue, and I think you've had conversations with traffic and safety with the police department possibly about no parking on the streets and
Yeah.
engineer's office. I know there's been conversation that's gone around,
Well,
you know.
sorry to interrupt, but there used to be no parking signs there, and
There
when we
was.
called and asked them to be put back, they were putting them back one day, and then they got a phone call,
That's a
and we're
don't.
told to stop.
Yeah, and.
So, you're right.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know about that, you know, how that came about. As far as what we are planning to do is, we still have the remainder of the acoustic block to put up. It is gonna, you know, sound will find its way to the opening, right? When it hits the acoustic block panel, it does dampen it. It will try to go up or down, and before the bottom panel was there, it would go under, and we realized that. When we originally put the courts there, no one had any idea about pickleball noise, right? It wasn't like, we'll put them there and no one will care because it's at a park. Pickleball, the noise has come out in the last 2 years as an issue everywhere. So it wasn't a known factor for us, and we said, oh, we'll put them there anyways. It was a growing sport, request to have pickleball courts put in town. So that was the basis. Then we tried the acoustic block. We didn't wrap the entire thing. We are planning to wrap the entire thing. We do look for other areas to move pickleball to. You may have heard the minutes from the last meeting. It is something that we are, one of our members who was on the planning board with the new buildings going over at the old Sun site, that, dedicating some space over there, which there's not any neighbors there, and that could be a good thing. We've mentioned before in our conversations, there is work that would have to be done to that upper court in order to make it level and safe for pickleball play. We have looked into that, and there is a cost to that we have to figure out how we would pay for that if we were to move them. So we still are planning to wrap the courts, continue wrapping it in acoustic block, and before we can make a decision, unless the board has an idea of what they want to do tonight, but to move them completely. I think we want to secure that from sound as best as possible, from sound escaping. while we're looking at alternatives.
So could I just ask a couple questions? If that sun area goes through and they have 8 courts, would you consider just closing that court or opening it up back to tennis?
Yeah, I don't know how close any of this is, but I think it would probably make sense to make it tennis again, because we're actually losing tennis
Yeah.
courts. They've been turned into street hockey, skate park, so they have actually diminished in numbers. In having a couple lit courts would be nice as well.
Do you know an estimate time of when you might be able to make that decision about even moving it up further? Putting those panels up, is that gonna be a length of time, or is it better to just try to do it all at once? Fix that one up above. I know it's probably $30,000 or so, right, to finish that?
Mm-hmm.
And then put the panels up there all around it and just do one fell swoop instead of piecemealing it
Right.
over 2 years to try to figure this out.
Yeah, I don't want it to drag out for 2 years,
No.
At all, nor have I wanted it to go this long. And I don't think any of us have it as well, or either. So, I did hear another, material that could be used to help on the upper courts that may be a cheaper alternative. The way to test it is after it rains, and to see where the puddles are, to see if we can put down this surface over what's there to fill. If there's small puddles, indentations, it's a little different. That's what it works on. If the puddles are a little deeper, if the indentations are deeper, then that substance wouldn't work. And as you know, we really haven't had any rain, substantial rain enough to do that. And I understand your concerns with noise. If someone saw us out there with a hose in the middle of the day watering, we get
yeah,
calls that,
yeah, no.
we're wasting water on the courts. But it is something I'm working on.
Right.
I'm trying, I think we're all trying to find solutions to help.
We totally appreciate that. Don't misunderstand us being here. It's not that we don't appreciate you working with us. A big question, though. What is the problem with just closing it until an alternative can come up? I mean, what is it that would prevent you to do that?
Well, we have our own pickleball programs and classes going on, and, I think the amount of pickleball players, and there are people coming from other communities, we understand that, but there's a very high population of pickleball players in Burlington as well, that are, hometown.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I also, our office also fields calls from Burlington players who say, there's non-residents playing there as well, and we don't get as much time on the courts as we'd like. It's, as you mentioned, sometimes they're angry people. They're angry because they don't get enough time to play. They're angry because maybe they lost. It's a competitive game, and some of the players are maybe former tennis players who weren't able to play on a full court, knees, whatever, but that smaller court, the same type of skills needed, allows them to get back out and gets their competitive juices going again.
So is there like a program online where they sign up, or they
So
just show up?
We
because-
took that away.
Okay.
We never, they could start other ones, other places, right? And we, or they just have their own little email groups that they email out to. We did, it was Playtime Scheduler was the name,
Right.
and we were removed from that as a location. Doesn't mean another one couldn't start up somewhere else. They do have a note in the file. The gentleman was very friendly on the phone and understood to not allow our location to be listed again without permission from our department, and took my name and the department's name and information so that we would be called if someone tried to add us back in there. But pickleball players
They know.
do soccer and, football and baseball, all these other sports and other social groups, they do keep their own little lists and will
Right.
reach out and say, hey, I'm going to play pickleball on Tuesday at 10 a.m. So we did pull it from there. I'm not there every day like you are. In the summers, I'm usually at the park more often in my trips around. I don't see the large group. Last year, there was, 16 people waiting and 16 people playing. I'm seeing, 4 to 6 people waiting now, which means, the word is getting out that you can't just schedule, go and play there whenever you want. And it's not listed there, so people don't see it. They're not showing up from other places. And then this weekend, I just want to answer, the gentleman came in the office today, who was playing, and he said, no, he didn't.
I know he did it.
He said, I was kicked off the courts for playing pickleball at 6:30, and our office staff.
6:45. My husband said it was
Well,
6:45.
yeah, I trust your husband. And he said, he did dial it back to 6:15, he said, too, the gentleman. And our office staff thought it meant 6:15 at night, or 6:30 at night, and he said, no, it was AM. I said, well, the sign, someone took the sign, I could have had it taken down over the winter. I put other ones up there today until we can locate the more permanent one, but not starting until 8 AM. It's
And-
back up there, and it's on the website in big red letters.
And maybe if there's nothing that's gonna happen in the short term, maybe we need to talk about shortening hours, because I thought we did at one point, in town-only residents, like maybe we can at least do something like that. We have to do something. I can't take it anymore.
I think looking at, some hours, I know, Kevin, you have some things you want to add, but I think looking at some hours could be a possibility. The lights aren't, I think they're scheduled to go on at 9, but because
They go off at
they're only
9.
on for, 15 minutes with the way the sun is,
Yeah,
because
they
they go
go
on.
off at 9.
So
That's
they
not a
are off at
problem.
9.
Yep.
In this time of year, even if the lights didn't go on and we said 8 o'clock at night, it's light enough for a little while to play a little longer. So
You do
it could be.
realize that in the off-season, they bring their own nets.
Mhm.
And their own lights.
And we
And their
can,
own
we
music.
can look at during the next off-season if a full solution hasn't been put out on the board yet, or we're waiting on something. Getting some fencing to close, like temporary construction fencing, and chaining it together. So they really wanted to play, they're climbing over, and then, it's a closed court at that point. But I saw lots of knee braces and back braces on people today. I don't think they'll be climbing over the fence. But I could be surprised.
All right, at this point, I think what I'd like to do is turn it over to the members of the commission for comments, questions that they might have. Who would like to go first? Kevin?
I sat with the neighbors, and I've also sat with the pickleball players, and they're both passionate. Brendan and I sat with both. There is a noise, definitely. It goes up to 70 decibels. Normal talking voice, I think, is 50. If you research it, the balls, you can get softer balls, you can get softer rackets, but it's not really a good solution. We, as Brendan said, tested up top to see if that would help, but we didn't move the pads. Brendan reached out to DPW to see if they could do the pavement instead of going out for bid to make it cheaper, but that wasn't doable. It was beyond their scope of work. So, we have commissioners looking for more courts so these courts don't become as popular. It's become above myself and Brendan figuring out the problem. The whole commission had to hear your case, and we've been kind of dragging our feet, hoping that we would have the acoustic tile up so that everyone could hear the difference. Now, the selling point of the acoustic tile is it's supposed to drop it by 12 decibels. That's what the manufacturer is promising, which would reduce it a lot, and bring it into 58 level, but we didn't get to hear it. It's not done. And we already had our warrant articles picked before this became such a big problem. So it wasn't something we could just arbitrarily go to town meeting with an extra $50,000 warrant article. I'd still love to hear how it sounds with the panels. It would have been, then it would have been obvious it didn't work or obvious it's helping. So I wish it was done, and hopefully, Bill, it's gonna get done.
If I could say something about that, we've hung 24 panels. Chain link fence top rail is designed to hold the fabric of the fence. And we've already hung 2,400 more pounds on that fence. So I'm getting a little uncomfortable hanging more without beefing up the fence, getting a fence company or somebody in there to beef up the fence and the posts and everything else. I was out in the street today and the sound wasn't coming around the sides, it's coming over the top. So I hope we can find a place to move the cords also. I mean, they had music playing today. I mean, the extra panels are gonna put a lot more weight on the fence. And those are my thoughts about it. I think we should bring somebody in, if we're gonna do that, bring somebody in to beef up the fence posts and all of it. But I don't know if we wanna do that, if we're gonna move it.
To continue then, we purchased the product. We don't have the money right now to change it to a different location up. So we need some kind of solution short term. We bought the product. I think the product should go up and see what happens, and then have another discussion after it's been put up. It's obvious we need, in the long run, to find more courts, so these aren't the only courts in town, and they're less popular, right?
Or get rid of them altogether.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. On the flip side, you can see there are people that are really passionate about pickleball, that they're older, and this is like a sport they play again. So I can see where they're coming from. We just have to, and we're recreation, we're supposed to be encouraging people to get out there and exercise.
And this is so not about the pickleball players.
It's not.
No, so.
I'm happy for them to
So-
play, just not in my
Ma'am,
front
just
yard.
let Mr. Sullivan speak, okay?
Oh, no,
We'll do the dialogue.
it's recreation, it's
Okay.
fine,
If you wanna do the
we're casual. Meshing the two is the hard thing. I'd really like to see how the soundproofing does, because if it helps some, moving it up to the higher courts with the sound protection and new courts might be the solution. If it doesn't work at all, we shouldn't even think about putting money into paving the new court, a new court up top, because that's just wasting money. You'd be back to us again. So I personally would like to see it complete so we can say it's helping or it's not helping. I didn't say anything, did I?
No, you were good. You were good.
Very good, thank you.
David?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your presentation. It was well thought out. It was good listening to the video. So I went up there as well during a tournament, and the sound's coming from all different directions. Everything isn't finished yet like we had hoped, but the one concern I had is you said it was worse for you when they were put farther back where the other park was. That's concerning to me because that's where
it was better.
she said it was worse.
It was, so Diane lives directly across right now, and Melissa does. So I'm directly across from the tennis court. So if it went up that way, we heard it coming over.
So you're to the left of where the pickleball
We're
courts
to
are?
the left,
If-
yes.
oh,
We're on
okay.
the edge.
Standing on the street.
Standing on the street,
And it
okay.
wasn't so much worse for me, but the lesser of two evils was up there,
Right,
because it was more tolerable.
because it's higher.
They didn't hear it. We did, but it's okay, because it was further away and less bothersome to the neighborhood. I'm gonna take one for
And
the team.
and the panels weren't up up there
The
yet
panels
either.
weren't
So
up, good
once the
point.
panels go up on the hockey
Yeah.
court, you felt
Right,
it would
right,
be
yeah, I
better.
understand that, yeah.
It was amazing that we could still hear it, we could still hear it, but they couldn't. And it was better for the neighborhood.
Uh,
Does that make sense?
Yes, and my also thought is, I am definitely for hours restrictions right now. You guys should not be, especially on the weekends at 8 AM, when people not coming up. Like I said, I live near the gun club, 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday and Sunday it goes. It's like, it's probably not just listening to that video, but when you live there 24/7, I could definitely see it. We did purchase the acoustic boards. I think we will try them and see where they go after that. And then as a board, I know we'll work diligently to come up with the right ideas. Like Commissioner Sullivan said, there is a huge demand. Brendan, this is something that's really popular in our community. Unfortunately, it's right in front of your house, and we didn't. Like Brendan said, we didn't know this was going to be a problem. So it's not something that we take lightly, that you guys are being bothered by it. But I guarantee you that we will work hard to make everyone happy. And I can't say it's going to happen real quick, but we'll see what we can do.
Well, is there something we can do to help with, is it Sun Systems or whoever it was? Can we help you with that by soliciting for them to put some courts over there? We're more than welcome to help.
Oh, at Norbloom?
Yeah. I don't think, we're not, sorry, I'm
It's
just
not
gonna jump. It's been suggested in a planning board meeting.
Okay.
When it comes to that time, where they have more serious discussions on the actual site work and what will go on there, I think there could be a possibility. I would just hold off on that for
Okay,
right now.
Just let us know.
Yes.
Carl, any comments?
Sorry.
Just briefly, again, thank you both for coming in and sharing your experiences. I did take a walk down there. There was only one game going on at the time, so it wasn't the full experience, so to speak. I agree with maybe having a discussion about limiting hours or having it be Burlington only. I'm not sure how that would be enforced, but something to strike a balance between the concerns of the neighbors and the strong desire by a lot of people to play. But I do think that we're going to have to ask for more patience, just because we did spend a lot of money to buy the panels. We want to see how they work, but Mr. Baker, I share your concern about the fence supporting it, so I have a lot of questions and not many answers, so I don't know how helpful this commentary is.
So just listening to discussions and, Bill, your concerns. So I would maybe suggest that we look at adjusting some hours tonight. I'll get a company in to determine the load of the top rail and what it can hold.
I made the comments because when I was down on the street today, I was noticing the top right is starting to separate,
Yeah,
and that's from the weight. It wasn't like that when we hung the panels.
okay. So I'll have, I know they did some of the fence posts when we paved the courts. They did do some work on the fence, but I'll have a fence company come in and just give us an idea on the load, because, there are
About 100 pounds.
10-foot sections
Yeah.
wide, right? So you're talking like 1 1/4 panels on each, so you're, if we do that math there, 125 in each 10-foot section. So we'll look at that, and then I'll connect with the seal coating company that talked to me about, and we'll, if we have to, spray water on there to test the puddles. It's not as natural as rain, right? Rain will come down and dissipate, but if we're standing there with a hose, it doesn't act really as closely resembles rain as we would hope. And then, if the load is fine, we'll get those fence panels hung on the lower until we can, come up with a more long-term solution. So it may be, I understand the view of not, being able to look out and see the nice pine trees across the park. But hopefully it'll give a little more enclosure to that, so the noise isn't, the noise will travel up because it's gonna hit, and what doesn't dampen will try to escape. I understand that, as we work on a more long-term solution. No one, the commissioners have stated, no one, wants to drive anyone out of their homes or, cause headaches and just not being able to enjoy their properties. So, but I'm open to discussion on hours. I think we could possibly go 9 AM. I don't know how that does for our programs. We may have some program starting earlier, like at the 8 o'clock, or? No. No? So, maybe a 9 o'clock start time. And, we have staff there in the summers at some point, and maybe we can, we might not be there every day to say 9 o'clock, but if we get the signs there and then rotating in people there, if we see them, sorry, you can't start until 9, the word will get out quickly that someone's checking. And then at night,
I'm okay with 9 at night.
Yeah, 9.
I'm okay with 9 at night
Okay.
still. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I don't go to bed
Yeah,
before 9.
It's reasonable. I mean, we don't want to be
No,
terrible
I'm
about this.
okay with
We'll
9.
meet halfway for sure. That's reasonable. 9, everything else, the lights go off at 9. I think at the band.
yes, I purposefully did not schedule the lights
Thank
past
you.
9 o'clock
And I
this
knew you
this
didn't.
spring and summer.
I knew
And
you didn't, thank you.
we didn't really, I haven't gotten any complaints about it. Little League is usually done around that time. So, just nice to maybe kind of
Right.
close the park at that point.
Right.
Um,
Softball lights were on till 11 on Friday, but nobody was over there. So as long as they don't stay on, because that lights up the pickleball courts
Right.
enough for them to play, but nobody was
Yeah,
playing.
there was a
That
tournament,
one
and
time.
there'll be another tournament this weekend, but all during I don't think it'll go into the night this weekend.
Okay.
Well, just to wrap up, I want to thank you for bringing your concerns to our attention. I'm a big fan of a long-term solution, which is to move them. We've had conversations, and Mr. Gaffney brought up the fact that maybe Sun Microsystems could provide a location. I wouldn't want to keep them in Burlington and move them up and have 2 courts. I'd like to just see them out of there, quite frankly, myself. We've talked about the Mary Cummings Park, and Brendan and I are talking right now with the city of Boston about a conservation restriction and trying to expand the potential things that we could do up there. And one of the things we're talking about is pickleball courts. Nobody lives up there, so that would be a perfect spot to put the pickleball courts. But we do need a short-term address. I don't want you to go crazy over thinking they're going to be there for the next 100 years, because in my view, they won't be. I think we're all concerned about the impact that the noise is having on the neighborhood. Years ago, when I was in law school, there was some cases on the topic of a nuisance, and they used to talk about people coming to the nuisance, and the example was that, there was a pig farm that was there for 100 years, then they put in a neighborhood all around the pig farm, and the neighbors came to the nuisance. And your situation is the opposite.
Right.
There was no nuisance there when you moved in,
Exactly.
and now there's a nuisance that's coming there in the form of all of this noise, incessant noise that it's like water torture, I suppose, to live there. So I'm very sensitive to your situation, and we're going to work hard to see if we can come up with a long-term solution. Short-term, it might not be immediate in terms of what you're looking for,
Yeah.
but I think moving the courts is a possibility. That's to me, it's a short-term solution. I'm not sure how helpful that's going to be if we move the courts up to where the old hockey area was and surround it with the acoustical tiles. That still might not. It's a better situation than it is now, but I think the best situation is to find a new home for the pickleball court. So I think we're hearing your concerns.
Thank you.
We're going to take them all into consideration. Maybe we can put this on our agenda for our August 15th meeting, just for an update on where we are with the short-term solutions. You're welcome to come, you don't have to, but
Okay.
we'll be here August 15th for another meeting, and then we'll hopefully figure out something that works for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
very
thank you for
much.
coming tonight.
Thanks.
No, really, we thank you.
We really do.
Because you're listening to us, you're kind, and
Kevin.
it's thought-provoking, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We'll
You
leave you
too.
alone. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, through the
Kevin?
chairman, we have those tiles, they should go up. they're designed to go on fences. They should be done in the next week or two. They've been sitting in our garage for how long, Brendan? A month? 2 months?
We got them in, I think, in May, but, you know, in fairness,
It's
It
your
sounds-
busy time.
Yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
understand it,
And-
but they're meant to go on the fences. If we need to get a fence company, it should be done sooner rather than later.
I will make the call tomorrow. The fence company we use is pretty responsive, so getting them over to look at it and give us their opinion.
Right.
You know, if a pole or something needs to be beefed up, we can look, you know, maybe they can add one next to it to beef it up and, you know, support the top rail, if that's the case. But we'll get someone out there this week.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other comments before we move on? All right, next item on our agenda is the Director of Parks and Recreation report. Mr. Regan.
Thank you. I know Bill has this in his report as well, but the BBSA-sponsored Cal Ripken Eastern Mass Tournament went off very smoothly. They had good weather with only a minor adjustment to their schedule on the first Saturday morning, July 2nd. July 1st went well. They had their opening ceremony, and they had some skills competition that night. The Burlington team made it to the finals, unfortunately lost in the finals. But from what I understand, Friday night there was about 400 people up at Simons Park enjoying baseball, and then there was more enjoying the park. I do want to thank our maintenance staff for the work they put in and the time they put in getting the field prepared, both fields and the entire facility, getting it ready. They did a nice job, so I'd like to commend them for their work on that. It was a complete team effort on that. So going along with that tournament that just finished, they were asked to host a New England regional tournament this weekend, and it looks like it's going to have 6 teams over 2 days. They'll be playing on Saturday. I just got the email this afternoon. They'll be playing on Saturday and Sunday this week. Saturday, I think they're going to have 4 games, 2 at 10, 2 at 12:30, and then Sunday they're going to have 4 games. And Bill, when we meet tomorrow, I'll share that schedule that I got today with you. They asked if we could host again, and I said, it's not a problem, but you're going to have to pay for our staff for the overtime. We picked it up the first one. They picked up materials and stuff, the cost of materials, so they have agreed to cover that, so which I think is a nice gesture on their behalf. They really appreciated all the work that our staff did, and things went smoothly during the game. So, and it really economically, it brings a lot of people into Burlington. Some may stay overnight during the tournaments, but they're definitely coming in and spending money in the community. When we talk about Parks and Recreation's role in government and everything, it's not just the programs and the facilities that we provide and take care of, but when things like this happen, tournaments like this happen, it does add to the economic portion of the town as well. So, we are taking in our budget, we do draw from the general fund, but I think we, do put money back in, especially these things, Celebrate Burlington, our other events where people come in, they participate in an event, but they stick around and have dinner, go shopping. So I just want to throw that plug out there, but thank our staff as well for all the work they did getting the field ready. Francis Wyman Elementary School playground, they've been working on plans for a while. They did get money at town meeting. Did have a meeting recently with the vice principal, school operations manager, and a playground vendor to discuss the project and look at the conceptual design. There was, after the last conceptual design in April. There was some questions from some people on the committee about adding some more accessible features, and they wanted to meet and just look at the layout. We did meet. There were some changes to the conceptual plan, and that was put back out and waiting for feedback from everybody on the conceptual design, the updated one. But they have asked our department to remove some of the wooden structures prior to the start of school for this year. So that is, Bill and I have had a conversation on that. There's some old wooden things that need to be removed. There will be some replacements for those in the new playground project, but we do want to get those out of there this summer. They will provide a dumpster, and we'll be able to remove them and put them into the dumpster. The gazebo over there is falling apart. Some of the raised sand tables are splintering and breaking apart, and then there's some wooden 6x6 posts that are set into the ground, and you're supposed to step across them, and those are starting to deteriorate as well. So we will be assisting with that. I'm not sure when the playground will go in, looking at possibly the fall. So again, the market for goods like that is just like everything else. We have seen fluctuations in pricing there, so trying to stay within the budget that has been laid out may be difficult to get everything they wanted. It may have to turn into a phased approach. Also recently met with the dog park committee to discuss improvements to the park. The two largest items that people were looking for are some shade, more shade in the park, especially in the afternoon hours, and coming up with a solution to the front entrances of the park when you walk in to the large dog park area, to the double gate. You walk inside onto some nice bricks that were engraved and were part of the fundraising. And what happens if you haven't been there is the other dogs like to run up and greet the dogs that are coming in and the people that are coming in. And as they run up and they stop, they push the stone dust from the dog park out onto the stones. One of the suggestions was to put some more of the canine grass. So there's nothing that'll be pushed out onto the stones. It'll be canine grass. So there'll be a transition from the bricks to canine grass inside. We did get a quote on that a couple of years ago, but again, as with everything else, inflation and prices fluctuating, we are working on an updated quote on that. The other item was shade, and we are looking at the direction of the sun, and really in the afternoons. In the mornings, the sun starts, if you're standing at the gate of the dog park, in the back left, and it goes diagonal to the front right by the afternoon. So looking at some kind of cantilevered shade structure that can block the sun coming across the soccer fields onto the dog park and cast some shade into the park in the later afternoons is what we're looking at. We're looking at some kind of structure. When I say cantilevered, have the post outside the park on the soccer field side, but against the fence, and a fabric shade similar to what we have up at the wading pool, but more, that's a pitched, two-sided pitch, but more of just a one-sided, like a dugout type of roof, something that will cast some shade in. We do have $23,000 in the dog park account now, and we're eligible for another $26,000 in change in grants through the Stanton Foundation, which is what funded the dog park. So that's what the funds that will be used for these projects. And as we get, we'll meet again, hoping to meet in August, and we'll have another report for the commission in the fall and where we stand.
Before we move on, you've touched on 3 different items. Any questions on the first 3 items from Brendan, or comments?
For the dog park, can
Yep.
we just put signage up now that says no running?
I don't think that would work.
That was a joke.
It was good, I got it.
All right,
Thank you.
moving on.
And then recently, we met with members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to introduce ourselves and discuss ways in which we can work together. The meeting gave us a chance to share our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and hear from members of the committee and their hopes for Burlington and what we'd like to do as well. And so I'm sure we'll be meeting again. I look forward to it. And it was nice meeting members of that group as well, which Carl is a member of, and Steve attended, and Kelly and myself, and Emma Jones, our therapeutic rec specialist. And we think it, if the committee continues on, we made the suggestion that Emma would be a great candidate to have on that committee. She's been leading our initiatives in the inclusion arena, in equity for a number of years now, so.
Through the chair, just so if the other commissioners don't know, the select board last summer put together a couple of ad hoc committees, one about transportation and one about DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I am the school committee rep on the DEI committee. And so what we're trying to do now is go to all the boards around town. So we've talked or reached out to like library trustees and Board of Health, and we're meeting with the school committee they're already doing a bunch of stuff. And so we had a meeting with Steve and Brendan and Kelly and Emma. It was myself and Nancy Bonacera, who is on the DEI committee. And just, it was mostly a meet and greet, and what I had done is I sent to Nancy some of the stuff that Kelly showed us a month ago with the core values that the staff is talking about and following in their day-to-day, working with residents and participants in the program. And so one of the things that we are encouraged, the select board recently updated their mission statement to include some DEI language. And that small step, in addition to what they're already doing, they might approach us in a month or two, I would say, right? I'm not trying to push you, but soon with some updated language for the Recreation Department mission statement. And that's it so far.
Very good. You were working on that, right? Were you working on
The mission statement?
Yeah. Didn't we talk about that?
I think for a couple years now, we've been talking about potentially looking at a strategic plan for the department as a whole, and as part of that, updating our mission statement and coming up with some core values and maybe some vision and value statements as well within that. So we've been talking about it. We just haven't been able to pull that one up as a higher priority yet. So we've
Yeah, I know, we
about it.
talked about it.
Yeah.
It's
So
a big issue,
that's
so.
hopefully something that we're gonna take a look at in the coming next couple months to see what we can do.
Emma would be awesome on that committee. If she would,
And it's
you know,
funny-
She knows, very knowledgeable about the inclusion. And so, who's on the committee? How many members are on the
So
committee?
there's 5 of us. It's Nick Priest, Syed Ghani, myself, Nancy Bonacera, and BJ Addison Reed is the chair. And we met on, was it last Thursday?
Yeah.
And I was unsure if they were going to extend because the committee was only set up for 1 year. And then I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail from Paul Segarino. You're being reappointed to the DEI committee, and it will expire in 2023. So it looks like we'll be around. We can continue the work. And both Nancy and myself are very encouraged by the work that's already happening at Recreation. So it's great.
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Brendan, what's next in your report? We already talked about the pickleball.
Yep, I am good for now until we get to new business.
All right, let's talk about the.
Just a question for Brendan, through the chair.
Yep.
Job description for a new position, we have to vote on that at some point. It's July 1st, the year started.
Yes. We are finalizing that. I've been working on it with HR, and I want to give you a final so you can go through it. If there's any questions, we can have them corrected and get it approved.
Do you want to put that on our agenda for the 15th?
Yes, we can do that, and if something needs to come up quicker, I don't think, I'm not sure, Will, I think we're at an even path now on that. The 15th should be good.
I would think that's something we would normally vote on, the job description, Kevin.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something new.
Yeah.
We have voted on the previous job descriptions.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so moving on now to the programming report. Ms. Lehman.
Thank you very much. So, summer started. That's where we're gonna kind of stay, right in that wheelhouse. Over the last couple weeks, we've had 400 kids in our care last week through our 14 different program locations across the community. Our staff, who had been trained during the orientation process of the 4-day, really high intensive training process, has responded really well. I am so proud of all of our staff, all of our directors. They are really killing it out there, and it shows how much pride they take in their job. And we had our first round of directors meetings today, meeting with some of our directors. We meet with them weekly once the summer really gets going. And a lot of our directors are saying really similar things about their staff, how they have much more energy than they've had in the past. They are more enthusiastic. They want to be there. They want to help, and they've really seen a change in our staff. So kudos to all of our programming staff for putting that orientation together and really hitting a home run there. And I hope it's something that we are able to continue moving forward, because we really are seeing the fruits of our labor now, today. If you go out to a program, you will see our staff fully engaged in programming with kids, and very rarely will you see a staff member sitting not really engaged with a participant in one way or another. And I don't think I can say the same thing in past summers. So really very excited for our staff this summer. They're, like I said, doing a great job. The other thing that's very popular for us this year is our concerts. They've kind of seen a bounce back. We're seeing probably about 250, 300 people at our concerts, when in the past we were hovering around 150, 200, and really debating whether that was something we were going to continue with. So more people are getting outside. They're taking advantage of the programming, which is also something great to see. And I hope it continues moving forward. Celebrate Burlington is the other thing we've kind of been working on. And we are still collecting sponsors and nonprofits to be in attendance that day. To date, we have 18 sponsors. I got one today. 18 nonprofits and 2 food vendors signed on for the day. So we're still reaching out to try to find some additional food vendors. And I believe we'll be talking about it a little later, some more sponsors as well for the event. And we're working on finalizing the schedule for the day and all of the activities, and hope to have that information done on or around the 25th of July to kind of really push out there and promote the specifics of the event itself.
Thank you, Kelly. Questions for Kelly? Kevin?
Just to comment, I love the Facebook posts that highlight the staff.
Oh, good.
It's nice. It makes them, feel special, appreciated. Yeah, that was a great change,
Yeah.
addition.
Awesome.
All right, I kind of skipped the Parks Superintendent report. Sorry about that.
But-
Bill?
But, sorry,
Oh, sorry, Brenda.
if I could just comment, Kevin, my mother agrees with you. She called me to tell me she saw someone named Ryan highlighted on Facebook. I said, "Oh, Ryan Morey." She said, "Yeah, he seems like a very nice boy." And I'm like, "Yes, he is. He's very nice." But I do also want to comment on the program that was put together for orientation. was unbelievable. You know, the care and thought that was put into the sessions, and, you know, the goals that our program division started working on from last year. I think they met all their goals. They accomplished everything they set out to, and our staff is better for it. Some of our longtime staff, been here 5, 6, 7 summers, commented on that was the best orientation they've ever had. There was something for everybody, and people were engaged. They put away their phones, they paid attention, they interacted, and had a great time. And I think they all came out of it with something, and being able to split apart and not just be in their program, they were able to meet people from other programs that they might not see much during the summer. They may know them from school, but it was awesome. And the setting at the Grandview Farm really worked, because it could split up groups and gave us enough room. They weren't sitting in the function room for 3 straight days, 5 hours a day. So it was an excellent job by the program staff putting together the orientation.
Very good. Any questions on that?
It's good.
Moving backwards, we're going to go to Bill on the Parks and Recreation Superintendent's report.
Okay. The crew spent probably 2.5 weeks working on the upper and lower Simons Park Little League fields for the Cal Ripken tournament that Brendan was speaking about. Tournament started on July 1st and finished up last Friday on the 8th. We had to bring in a lot of infield mix for the low areas. We replaced quite a bit of sod. The DPW assisted us by helping spread clay with their Bobcat. Both the full-timers and a lot of the new seasonal workers all worked great together and got the job done very well. There was a large crowd each day, and especially on the last night, there was a huge crowd. The staff did a great job keeping up with all the maintenance and cleaning up. Trim crew's been very busy, first in getting the parks ready for the camps to open this past week, and now they're starting to go through and trimming each school. There was a fertilizer treatment applied again to the fields on the week of the June 22nd to Francis Wyman, Marvin, Rotary, Wildwood, and Memorial. We have continued to groom and line our ball fields for all the adult softball and the BBSA games. We've continued to paint the fields for soccer, as well as painting foul lines for the ball fields. We've been painting parking lot lines at Simons for the tournament also, and for events we usually do that. And we've been keeping up with our trash and recycling around town.
Very good. Any comments or questions for Bill?
Fields came out good.
Thanks.
Up there for the
Yeah.
tournament. Yeah,
Pretty
I
good.
saw you guys putting the stuff out. I didn't know you guys had to do that much stuff.
Yeah, it was.
It was pretty, so they paid for all that? Did the BBA pay for that?
They paid for the materials,
And we put it down?
and they paid for the sod, infield mix, trying to think, there was something else. The paint that they painted the dugouts with, so, and then we took care of the labor end of it. Now they're gonna take care of the labor end of it for the next tournament.
They are.
They are, yep.
Okay, good.
It was nice to see all of the people enjoying the facilities that, we work so
Yeah.
hard to create and maintain. I drove by the field, I think it was Friday night and Saturday, and the place was packed with people enjoying the fields. And so, keep up the good work. Your crew's doing a great job. I was over at the Wildwood a couple of weeks ago, and the ball field, the fields are great. That grass program is working really well.
Thanks, yeah.
The overseeding and everything, they look fantastic. In the old days, you used to worry about falling down on the grass out there and you'd hurt yourself, now it's like a cushion. So, did a good job. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. The next item on the agenda is actually the chairman's report. I don't really have much to report this evening because Mr. Foss and Brendan already talked about the DEI committee. It was nice to meet. It was a meet and greet, as Kyle said, and we met with them, and they were impressed with the things that Kelly had highlighted in our last meeting that we're doing. Emma Jones was there, and she's really, I think, an exceptional addition to the staff, and very impressive. So we had a nice meeting. and we're gonna continue, I guess, to move forward. I think it's gonna be up to Kelly and Emma to put together some of their thoughts about a mission statement, and we'll be finalizing that probably over the next several months. And the only other thing is, we did have a conversation, a Zoom meeting, I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting, I don't think I did, with town council over the conservation restriction. And town council has made some edits to the restriction that we received from the city. I put in my 2 cents worth, asking them to think about some more active recreational uses to add to it, because they're talking a lot about passive uses, and we're trying to make sure that we can do things like install bleachers, maybe install lights if we want to down the road, structures that would support those types of things, maybe pickleball courts, tennis courts, and things of that nature. And as I was preparing for the meeting, I was looking through some of the background materials that I had never seen before. Kevin, you probably saw this stuff. There was a letter from Mary Cummings to Mayor Curley in the city of Boston. It was like 1920-something. And she wasn't talking about all of these passive recreational stuff. She was talking about tennis courts and a lot of fun things the kids could do. Those are the uses that she wanted. I think she called it a public fairground. But she
Public
wasn't.
pleasure ground.
Pleasure
Yeah.
ground, but she
Yep.
wasn't just thinking about passive use. She was thinking about a lot of fun uses for kids, so hopefully we can come up with something. She did say that if we entered into a conservation restriction and we wanted to go through the process down the road of maybe doing a taking, that the taking would probably overrule the conservation restriction. That was her opinion, which I thought was
That's
interesting.
very nice.
So the restriction really now is only on the areas that we're currently using. It's not on, the 100 and some odd acres where you have the trails and all of that. It's only where the multi-use field is, and where Marvin is, and I think where the Rotary field is. That's kind of what's gonna be covered by it. So we're still working on that. I don't know where she is with her discussions with the city of Boston, but hopefully she'll have something, maybe at our next meeting, Brendan, we can look at something.
Yeah, she has reached out to the city of Boston, has not heard back. She's requested the full conservation restriction. They gave us the section that will cover our area. She wants to see the full. She has not been given that yet, so as of the end of last week, so.
Well, maybe
As
if just for
more comes
discussion
in.
purposes, we can put it on the agenda for the August 15th meeting, and if we have something to talk about, we'll get into a little more detail at that point. So that's it for my report. Any subcommittee reports tonight? Anybody?
They had on the sculpture park, they had a meeting. I wasn't able to make the meeting. It was a Zoom meeting. I had to work, but going forward, they do plan, and I'll keep Brendan, you in the loop, of moving the sculptures. They are moving a sculpture next to Havoc, who's already on the Common. Now, I know the selectmen are in charge of the Common, but we do so many events on the Common that I know, as a board, we want to know where the goal is to, the committee got $20,000 from town meeting to purchase sculptures, so when those permanent sculptures are bought, they plan on putting them throughout the town. Right now, they are gonna move one to the Common, but I know Brendan has concerns that we wanna know where they're gonna be put before, so I'll make sure that we as a board know where they're going before they pour the pads. Right now, it's, the next one they're pouring is right next to Havoc. So I think I don't know, I ain't sure, I wasn't at the meeting, I don't know how, if the Board of Selectmen approved it, where it was going on the last one, but I'll definitely keep you in the loop.
Yeah, just from a maintenance standpoint and from a program standpoint, both of our divisions,
Yes.
utilize the Common. One has to maintain it all the time, and the other programs it, and, thoughtful placement of items is, getting our feedback is important.
Right. I will keep you in the loop.
Thank you.
I promise.
Excellent. Any questions for Dave? Well, let's move on now to new business, reserve fund expenditure request. Mr.
Yes.
Regan.
Thank you. So as Kelly mentioned in her report, planning for Celebrate Burlington is ongoing. And And as you know, the cost to run Celebrate Burlington relies heavily on sponsorships from the local business community. We're up to 18. It is below what we've had in the past, and in order to ensure that we offer Celebrate Burlington the way it should be, I would like to request that the commission approve up to $10,000 from the revolving account to be used for Celebrate Burlington.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin? Motion
Second.
made by Commissioner Sullivan to approve up to $10,000 from the revolving account to be used for Celebrate Burlington, seconded by Commissioner Foss. Any comments or discussion? What's the date, Kelly?
Celebrate Burlington, oh, sorry. Celebrate Burlington will be held on August 6th.
That's a Saturday?
It is a Saturday, first Saturday of August, always.
Fireworks at night?
Fireworks at night.
What
Yep,
time?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
So the event itself will run from 11 to 4 on the Common, followed by a car show from 5 to 7, followed by a concert on the Common from 7 to 9 with Mo Bounce. They were very well received last year. And then at 9 o'clock, the fireworks will go off. So it's a fun day, and one that we think is very well received by the community. And hopefully we would not need to expend all 10,000. It's just we are running a little short. We have more people sponsoring at a lower level this year than in the past. So coming up with a bit of a shortfall.
If they want to make contributions, who do they make the check out to?
Town of Burlington. Yep.
Okay.
They can drop it off at the Parks and Rec office, or you could fill out a sponsor form on our website. It's right there. All you gotta do is fill out a very quick form and we'll send you an invoice. We're very good at that.
Very good.
And they could get their name on an activity or on
Yes,
something,
yeah,
an
so
event.
as
Yep.
a
Instant
sponsor,
reply, huh?
depending on the level, you would get your name on an activity. Silver level sponsors get a banner on the gazebo. All sponsors receive VIP lunch packages from us. So it's a fun day, and we try to really make it about the Burlington community as a whole, and the business community is a huge part of the community here, so we want to make sure that they're very well represented as well.
Excellent. So there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll put that to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Any other new business, Brendan?
Nope.
Is there any old business? Any members have any old business I want to bring up?
I have some old
Brendan.
business.
All right.
I wanted to give people an update on the Simons Park Treehouse. I did hear back from them this afternoon in an email. Email probably came in this morning, but by the time I got to it, it was this afternoon. So, as you may know, during the month of June, Senior Town Engineer Tim Mazzone performed a survey of the existing conditions of the area, locating trees, elevations, things like that, in the area where the treehouse is going to be located, and survey will be used by the treehouse guys, engineer, to complete the drawings for the project. We did get an updated sketch of the drawing of the layout today. Not much different from what was originally there, but they could actually put some, heights and things like that in based on the land, the elevations of the land. And they are working, I talked to one of the contractors today, he is feeding that information to his engineer to get the structural drawings done. They are still planning a late August start date, so we're still on schedule for that, which is good. And I did have a brief conversation with BCAT today regarding that, and really doing a nice series on the treehouse, especially with the generous donation we got from the Gillingham family, and maybe looking at the construction of the treehouse and doing something like that. So we're excited for that. That was one of my updates. The bucket truck is back. It did need a new computer, and I'd like to thank DPW or Central Maintenance for picking up the cost of that. It was a expensive little onboard computer, and they are doing a brake job on it now, the rear brakes, I think, from sitting for as long as it did. had some brake issues, so they are doing that. The truck, we're looking at early 2023 for the pickup that was our warrant request, one of our warrant requests this year. They're not even taking orders yet. And then the van is going to be even further than that, probably mid to late 2023. And that's from a year ago, that warrant article from FY21. So that's where we stand. Yeah, I also heard, I've heard that 2023 vehicles are coming out now. This is usually the time the next model year comes out. And anyone that's had an order for a 2022, they may not even be able to get the 2020. They may just go right to the 2023s. Why produce a car that's supposed to have been out for a year? I don't know how that affects us in the municipal world with vehicles, but, we could wind up with a 2023 at a different price, but we do have signed agreements with the company, signed quotes, so hopefully they'll honor those.
Sounds like we'll be keeping the maintenance department busy on these vehicles. What
Yes,
we have.
well, yeah, our central maintenance will stay busy repairing what we have, and, hopefully we'll get that schedule will move up, and we'll be able to get a new truck heading into the winter for plowing purposes, but the earliest looks like early 2023.
Very good. Any questions for Brendan on the old business?
Oh, if
Kevin?
Simon's Park, someone asked when it was, the construction of the basketball court was gonna start?
I'm gonna guess September, probably by the time it gets out to bid. I had an engineer lined up, and then I'm not sure what's happening, so I may be switching engineers, electrical engineer. They were scheduled to meet out. I've left numerous messages. I had someone with the light company who recommended them, this engineer, reach out, and they're not getting calls back either. So I don't know if there's what's going on. If they're just too busy and they've decided this project is too small for them. So I do have the name of another engineer that I'll be reaching out. As I mentioned at the last meeting, the electrical engineering portion of the project is the only thing that needs some assistance with. Locating where the service will, right now it's on a wooden pole behind one of the baskets where it comes in off the road. We need to bring it to a box and then underground from there and to the pole. So it's not something we can do in-house. We need an electrical engineer to do that. So it goes out, it's spec'd correctly when it goes out.
Right, any other questions? I assume there's no need for an executive session this evening?
There
Brendan?
is not.
Okay. Any other items before we adjourn? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.